Are you planning an Instagram break this summer? Last week's part 1, when to take an Instagram break advice, was based on what I and others have done successfully. And you don't want to be chained to Instagram all summer, right? So if you didn't catch that episode, it's part 1. This is part 2, how to come back to Instagram after you do part 1. And oh, by the way, there's a special singing clip in there, so you want to listen for that. But you want to enjoy your summer, right? But then sometimes there are other times when you need to take a break as well during the year. So we talk about that in last week's episode, but this week is how to come back. And oftentimes it's hard to get the wheels moving again, and the job just seems insurmountable. One of my mentorship members, Brenda McDermott, was talking to me about this and how she was just basically already overwhelmed after her break as to how to get back and how to get started. And it seems like a lot of people have a problem with this. I've had problems with it before after taking breaks. A lot of my mentorship members have. And so I know that you can relate. Once you stop, it seems like the gears, it just takes a while to get them started back. And so what we're sharing with you is what works this week from the second part of our mentorship Zoom call. Listen in for how to start back after taking a break from Instagram.
Welcome to Authentic Online Marketing with Ruthie Gray. Growing awareness for your blog, podcast, book, or product involves more than dancing to reels and yelling, "Buy my thing." This show models quality over clamor so you can put your spin on your message and market in a way that feels authentic to you, because nobody wants to sound like an infomercial. And now, here's your host, Ruthie Gray.
Brenda, tell us where you're from, what your message is, and what your goal is for Q2. You've been sitting out for a session, and we are so glad you're back.
I just set out for a season, and it was good for me in some ways. And then I started really missing being active on Instagram. And I talked to Ruthie one day about it, and she just, whatever you said, Ruthie, it just gave me the impetus to go ahead and, come on back, kind of power through, because I found that my life was a lot better when I was engaging much more on Instagram. I missed all of y'all. I missed everybody, all my Insta friends. So I think that was a good realization, that came out of that time. So now I'm not full force, like I'm back to writing some more. And so I'm only on Instagram as I can be. But it's really been good to be back.
So that day when I met with Brenda, she didn't expect a pep talk and I didn't expect to give her one, but that's what we had there. I gave her just some practical points for how to get back and what to do. Look back at what worked. What worked in Q1? What worked last year? What did people like? And go back to that. Just start with that and start at the top. But where's your funnel? Where does it start? Is it your podcast? Is it your blog? Where's your content? Even if you don't have recent content, go to that content based on what worked before. Say, oh, I have some content written about this specific topic. I see people are liking that. And then just drip it out. Like take one piece of content and drip it into 3 posts. One is a static post. It's a picture of you, or it's a picture of a mountain. It's a picture of a landscape, whatever. And it's about one thing. Okay. And then you take that post, because once you start talking and writing, if you're like me, you have to write it out first to know what you're saying. And then you're gaining clarity. You're taking from that content, but you're sort of rewording it. And then you've got 1, 2, or 3 points. You take that and put it in a carousel. And you string people along in that carousel. So they have to swipe step 1, step 2, step 3, or break down step 1. And then you take one piece from that and make it into a reel. And there is your content for a week. If you have the capacity to post every day and you have the content and it doesn't drive you bananas, then post every day. If you don't have the content for that, or if you don't have the bandwidth to stay present and post at the same time, then do it 3 times a week or 4 times a week. So if you can commit, accountability is the key. Number 1 is accountability. Just do something, get it out there.
In last week's episode, When to Take a Break, I shared how I took my own break after a big launch and while working on my new website. But something I did that brought me back when it was time was I committed to accountability, and that was through a Reels collaboration with Ren Robbins of the Don't Wing It podcast, who also happens to be my podcast coach and is in our mentorship. I contacted her and said, let's pull the trigger on this Reels collab we've been planning for 3 weeks. So we set a day and a time and we did it. And that action propelled me back into my regular posting schedule. You can do this too. It's a whole lot easier to be consistent on Instagram when you commit to a group. That's what got Brenda back in the game. She missed her cohorts, the commitment, and the shared community. Community is something I teach and foster and grow inside my trainings. If you're looking for community accountability, but you're just starting out on Instagram, you understand basic tech, but are struggling with posting, don't know what to post, and you need input for things like your bio and how to grow followers effectively, and then grow and build an email list from Instagram, we're putting the finishing touches on our relaunch of the Authentic Online Marketing School, which Brenda and other members were a part of. And you can apply to be notified when it goes live and immediately get our brand new Reels creation formula training. So you can start creating Reels in a way that fits your own personality instead of using a cookie cutter 1, 2, 3 step format. We'll link it in the show notes so you can access right now that Reels creation formula training. And then you can be notified later for the release of the Authentic Online Marketing School. It's coming up fast later in the summer. And this is where real community accountability starts. This is where I teach and foster my community marketing framework, where students learn how to lean into and grow their own community for their platform. You really can take a break from Instagram, and you should, but you really can get unstuck and get back in the groove. Thanks for listening this week. Please check out that wait list, Authentic Online Marketing School, and be sure to share your unique message, your way, in your own authentic voice. We'll see you next time.